Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show. Today is Thursday, October 2nd. We have officially entered spooky season, and we are rounding out another week, even as we walk our way into October. How are you this morning, Alex? Will?
Oh, I'm doing swell. Caffeinated, 2 TikToks out the door. Got a busy day ahead of me, and looking forward to going to the gym. But I won't be able to go to the gym until it is well into the evening, sadly.
So the espresso will have to hold you over until then.
The espresso and just, the general excitement I have on life.
I love it. Alex, can I count on you to match Will's general excitement for life?
Of course you can. That's like
No.
Alex's MO.
No, you may not. I don't know. More so now, because, now I'm on island time.
Island time.
Island in
Vodka
the
kiwis.
sun.
Vodka kiwis.
Every day.
But no, I'm good. I'm a little tired. We were up late. Last night was a great show. Until you guys ruined it. But
You guys? What'd I do?
Yeah, Evan.
Leave me out of this.
How dare you antagonize me?
I will not. You encouraged him, and you did.
Well, I mean, Evan stole all the points and made himself the winner, so
Yeah.
I think it's fair to include him in that category.
I don't know. Well,
It's true. You did ultimate. We even got the whole audience was like, all right, I see the corruption now.
Laid bare, like all the insider trading on the blockchain now.
oh my gosh. Speaking of blockchain, this is your place for helpful news, commentary, answers to your crypto questions. And if there's something that you want to talk about this morning, please feel free to let us know. If you're listening now, get your thumbs at the ready. Drop your questions below because in just a second, we're going to invite our friend Hemu Rahman to the show. If you're listening in the future, hello, we hope your candles are green. Please join us where the show lives 24/7. I'm talking about community.rumshq.com. We've got so much stuff there. The only thing missing, my friends, is you. We'd love to see you there. Now, without any further ado, let me introduce him. He's already in on the TikTok stream, and he's backstage on StreamYard. He's a good friend of the show. We have missed him, and we're excited to welcome him back, even as he prepares to step into a new chapter in his life. I was worried he wasn't going to be able to make the show today because he's got a kid on the way.
Ooh.
He is literally shipping maybe the best new product. But he's here to talk all things crypto, Polaris app, and answer your questions with us. Ladies, gentlemen, monsters and machines, please welcome our good friend, Hemu Rahman, to the Rise Up Morning Show. Hemu, man, it's so good to see you. How are you?
Good morning. It's been a while. How are you guys doing?
We're
Better
good, dude.
Better
It has
now
been
that
a
you're
while. It's nice to chat with you again. And congrats
it's been
on soon-to-be fatherhood.
Thank you. I'm excited. It's going to be the biggest project yet in life, so I'm pretty stoked for it.
Yeah, seriously. When we were texting about making a show appearance, Hemu was like, I'll be there unless I'm at the hospital. And I was like, okay, great.
Yeah.
Probably the best excuse in the history of the Rise Up Morning Show.
Yeah, not a bad excuse.
Yeah, any day now. My wife is pretty over it and excited for kiddo to be here.
Well, congratulations again, and we look forward to seeing how you grow, your family grows. But we want to pick your brain about what's been happening. Last time you were here, you were just about to ship some updates for Polaris to make it more widely available to people. I think the news feed hadn't gone live yet. You tootled Alex and I through it, and we got really excited. But we'd love to give you a chance to tell the folks what you've been working on and what you've been shipping since we saw you.
All right, I'm going to switch over to tethering. Sorry, guys. I feel like I'm hitting you with all the technical difficulties.
Sorry.
No, man.
Are we
All
back?
good.
Yeah, I'm
good.
with you. I'm totally with you. And you.
Awesome. We have just moved as well, so internet out away from the city is the one big catch. So that's been a lot of fun. We're getting there. I think it might be time for a Starlink. But you're gonna have to hit me with the intro one more time.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just gassing you up a little bit, saying that last time we were here, you were about to ship a bunch of different updates for Polaris that are live now. And I was saying, for folks who don't know your work, would you take a second to introduce yourself and then tell us the kind of things you've been working on in the last couple of months? You and Polaris too.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I guess I haven't done a live at all except for with you guys. We'll start from the top here.
I feel honored.
Yeah, I'm Hemu Rahman. Got to catch up with you guys a couple months ago, and since then we've shipped some awesome things. And there's so much ahead of us. Quick background: been building startups for over a decade now. Far from like one of the earliest 3D printers. I don't know if you guys even remember Kickstarter once upon a time, to now crypto products. So the mission for the past 4 years, roughly, has been how do we make crypto accessible to everyone? Crypto's definitely here to stay. It's a part of our financial future. It's finally putting the power of just owning everything we invest in, our financial well-being, back in our hands. So it's at the core of the blockchain crypto mission. Why we're all here, it's why we're excited, but it's been largely inaccessible to everyone else. So while the four of us are hanging out here, hopefully making like the concept of crypto and what it is, how to use it more accessible, the second part of that mission was let's build products that make it way less scary. Let's make it feel like Robinhood. Let's make it feel no different than investing in your 401k, picking up a stock, right? Like that's exactly what it should feel like. So the crypto community tends to be unintentionally gatekeeping a lot of the time, just like by how technical they are and how wonderfully technical they are, I should say. So the mission for the past few years is how do we just make the experience also so much more accessible? So last time I got a chance to catch up with you guys, we were in, I think it was the day we had launched like early access, like closed beta, just to like a couple hundred people at the time to get feedback, right? Like the best way to build a good product is to make sure you're not doing it in a silo. It's we're building for humans, right? For people. So, whoa, it's been at least 3 or 4 months, guys. That's on me. I feel like I should have caught up with you guys way sooner, but we're here now. But it
feels like a lifetime.
It does feel like a lifetime.
It feels like a lifetime. 3 months goes by so quickly, and at the same time, when you think back on it, it's like I'm a whole new me.
Yeah, indeed. Literally about to be any day now.
Yeah.
But yeah, since we launched, we kept things pretty low key because I think we're very much so in the learning and iteration phase right now. And the biggest thing that we've been kind of like hung up on stuck on is App Store approval. It's easy enough for us to ship to the web. Like it's the product's up live and running, and you can connect. It's still like in the early stage on web where you can connect any wallet you have and trade any token, right? Like forget all these ecosystem specific things where you're kind of like trapped and stuck. But the goal is how do we make crypto feel human friendly, right? How do we make it just feel like let's take it beyond what Robinhood's done. Let's make it intelligent. Let's make it the guide that you need to navigate the world of investing, crypto being the start. So up next, any day now, so within the next few weeks, we'll have App Store. So we did get very quietly, I guess I'll mention here, we got like App Store approval. But like the actual formal app release will be hopefully in the coming month and some change. When that happens, the reality is we also know like 90% of our users right here on TikTok around the world, my parents, my grandma even, they're going to use mobile. They're going to pull out their phone. They're going to want to try to, acquire crypto, invest responsibly, do all the things, probably not on a laptop. So we've kind of had to, sit tight, sit on our hands, continue iterating. And the mobile experience, I am so stoked for. It's basically, it's my dream app, right? So I'm really grateful. I've had the chance to spend the past year specifically working on Polaris here, thinking about everything that I'd want, thinking about what my followers would want, thinking about what the four of us would want around our dream experience. And that means no wallets, no chains, no bridges, none of that garbage, none of the lovely technical jargon that is on desktop today, but an on-chain experience. And I hate to be using these heavy words. I know maybe it's not like that, it's hard to even like break from the baggage, but for the sake of setting the foundation here, an on-chain experience that has everything abstracted away. So for everyone who knows nothing about whatever I just said, essentially you should be able to use crypto like you would use Robinhood, like you would use Coinbase, but with the beauty of it being yours. So nobody else is holding your assets. You still hold all your assets. And that is maybe even more exciting in a day and age today where, I don't know, there's a little bit of a peace of mind that if I've got to hop out of the US and start over, I can throw a ledger in my back pocket and we're good to go. There's no your bank and begging for them to give you more than your withdrawal limit. Or I don't know, I've had several friends and employees have their Coinbase accounts just get locked up on them for months on end. I have a Binance account I haven't been able to access for 5 years. That's crazy. Crazy. So it's like, ideally we hit you with the most human-friendly experience that'll help you navigate things in your back pocket. Maybe one more thing I'm super excited for is I've spent the past few months also working on a component of Polaris, which is closer to being like, imagine the intelligent, just like financially savvy friend that could live in your back pocket. Forget notifications, but what if you can always open up Polaris and know that you'd be able to get hit with actionable insights, right? Forget the obvious things that the four of us will try to remind folks on TikTok and around the world to take profits, to do, to invest responsibly, and all the elements of like actually acting on things, whether you're buying, but even harder is selling. What if you could bake all of that into an intelligent model that lives in your back pocket? So Polaris isn't just a chart and the tokens and us or your friend telling you to buy and sell X, Y, Z, but it could literally look at everything you have. You can also tell it if you're a medium, low, high risk investor. You can feed it information about your objectives, and you will never miss the opportunity to hop in or out of things as needed based off of your objectives. So you're out at dinner, you're out at a bar, and you're, let's say you're like a low risk investor. Like I have nothing to do with, I don't even know why I'm invested in crypto to begin with at this stage, right? Maybe. And maybe your friend told you to buy a bunch of Doge, right? And you're like, I don't know what it is, seems pretty high risk, but I'm gonna get some Doge or some fart coin, right?
Yeah, my nephew Carl.
Yeah, why not? if you're out and about at dinner at the bar, and look, if your Doge went up 3-4x as it can and does, right? In that moment, Polaris should be reminding you, just a gentle nudge. Hey dude, you are a low risk individual. Let's take a little bit of money off the table so it doesn't evaporate tomorrow and disappear.
Oh, yes.
Instead of just like, sure, you can hop into Coinbase and whatever and program in your stop losses and your limit orders and your notifications for price targets. We can tell people to do that all day. But why not just make the product do that for you in a way that makes it feel like that wise, brilliant investor is your best friend and always in your back pocket. You're never going to miss the moment to make that happen. So I think that's that element of Polaris I'm super stoked for. It's obviously, you can access every token, you can trade every token. We've finally done the heavy lifting to get rid of all the bridging and the chains and the scary stuff none of us know about. And the self-custody being a big part of it. And I'll hit you guys with one last thing here, which is a huge part of our identity moving forward, which is around privacy. So we spent the past few months also thinking about like what really matters. All of these things are, really helpful, build the right foundation. But there's one last aspect I think that would make a really big difference. And we think I want to make sure I'm framing privacy in the way that hopefully will makes probably the most sense to you guys, maybe a little less sense to everyone else. But this is not privacy in the sense that, oh, crypto is this, scammy world where you can transact without a middleman and do all sorts of things where no one can track what you're doing, which is absolutely not how it works, right? The hilarious thing about crypto, which we all know, is that it's the opposite of that. And that everything we do in crypto is public knowledge. It's publicly visible by definition of how it works. I mean, the definition of being on chain means everyone in the world can see every transaction happening. And that's what enables it to work well. And the crazy thing that happens as a result is I can see your bank account. I can see your wallet. I can see your wallet. You can see my trades. We can see everyone's everything. And it's enabled us to get to where we are today. But if we want to onboard the next millions, like the next 10, 20, 100 million people, one, I don't think that my grandma is going to be down to use a crypto product where everyone can see her whole account and everything she holds.
Yeah.
I think businesses and larger investors are going to use a product where all of their holdings and all of their, their calculated trades, right? That's their bread and butter, are public knowledge. So the hope is that the next iteration of Polaris, within the next month or two, where we already have a version of it up and running, is privacy first. We're also living in a world in which privacy should matter to us, and like our data and what we do, and right down to.
Oh, the internet strikes.
Right down to rugged.
Yeah,
Right
hold on
down
just a
to-
second, Hemu, if you're with me. The right down to is where we lost you.
Right down to. Well, saying hopefully we live in a future in which privacy is just central to our lives, right? We're living in a world in which we're feeding ChatGPT all our data. Everything is tracking everything we do. I think that even down to our financial well-being, I think should be private. So if we actually believe that crypto is the future and a big part of our financial well-being, then privacy also matters. Even if it's not something that's top of mind today, even if a lot of the people in crypto don't care about it because you're like, here, let me publicly post a screenshot of my gains in my portfolio.
No, hit the sell button. Hit the sell button and don't post the screenshot. Don't do it.
Exactly. Sure, that's our culture today. That's fine. But I think that for the large majority of people, privacy shouldn't even be a conversation. So I hope that we can pave, like, privacy is a feature. It sits behind the scenes. It's something we shouldn't even talk about, right? Like, it's an expectation for everyone else. So the hope is we can bake it in, generate revenue with like institutions and businesses that need it. But for the average person, think of it as a public good. We're going to ship the version of crypto that we all need where things are private by default. So that was a long pitch around what we've been doing and where we're going. But yeah, that's where we are.
Super helpful update. I am curious. I feel like the next place to take it would be, Alex, I don't know if you saw my messages in the private chat, but this is a really perfect setup for a conversation we've been having a lot lately on the show. You want to read Hemu in?
Yeah, so one of the things that we've been talking about is this kind of the UX debacle, and kind of two different sides of the conversation here. My hot take on it is that it's not as big of a problem as we make it out to be, and that often bad UX gets used as a crutch by things with no product market fit to try to come up with an excuse why they don't have any users. And you can just kind of blame the UX boogeyman instead of talking about what is the experience they're even supposed to be having with you, let alone whether or not, things look cluttered or it doesn't look great or it doesn't work well or whatever. Things that solve a real problem, we'll go through a little bit of pain to use them. And again, not to say that it's not important. It's very important. Curious how you guys are kind of approaching it. And, because obviously one thing that I think sticks out about you in particular is the overall vibe and aesthetic, right? Like everything you do is so clean and so organized, and it looks so nice that obviously it stands to reason that whatever product you make is going to follow kind of that same structure.
I was
So
also going to say that. I was like, the beta looked so clean. I was like, of
Right.
course it is. It looks so good. God damn it, he's so good at
course
this.
it does.
I was like, of course it looks perfect. Why can't I make this?
Major shout out to our designer who is almost too meticulous. And
It
I
shows.
think, yeah, I actually lean in the direction of ship something we're embarrassed by as quickly as possible, which is, I think,
agree with that
important for
completely.
just
Yep.
moving fast, learning fast, right? What is the problem we're solving? But I am grateful that we do have a fantastic designer. I'm going to take him wherever we end up going in life, whatever we're building. But I actually tweeted about exactly this, like along the way. Look, I joined the lovely world of crypto 4 years ago without knowing anything about crypto aside from maybe buying Bitcoin way, earlier than that, right? But I think that it's usually the devs and the engineers and the technical people in crypto who also kind of love shouting about crypto UX being broken. And I think that it is indeed, it's a crutch. It's an easy thing to fall back on. I think that if someone cares enough about a problem, if you have a solution to a problem, we've given you the ability to, oh, nice, that's amazing. I love that you
For
got
people
that.
in podcast land, we found the tweet, or at least one
beautiful.
approximating it.
Beautiful. I think that if you're solving a problem for someone, in this world we're talking about, I really want to invest in Fartcoin, right? Or Bitcoin. Let's just say Bitcoin. If it's 20 steps to make that happen, you're going to go through those 20 steps if you really care enough, and that's totally okay. It's not ideal, but hit someone with the solution first and then fix the little details along the way. So if we take that philosophy to how I guess I've been thinking about Polaris is where I like have the most friction with our lovely team that's like 80% technical people and developers. I don't give a shit about any of the amazing innovation we've done under the hood to like abstract away wallets, abstract away chains, abstract away bridges. We shouldn't even be talking about those things. I think we build a fantastic product when all of those things are done so well. We can celebrate internally, but they're invisible. We don't even talk about it. We don't even say a word about any of that to you all, right? Instead, we hit you with things that matter. So I would go as far as saying even privacy isn't something we'll talk about publicly, at least not with like the large majority of users. That's a thing that we should just do a great job with, ship, and should exist behind the scenes. I think that if I've been catching up with users every few weeks and talking to people and like actually digging in, I think that's my favorite part of building is literally just having one-on-ones with real people and being like, tell me what your journey is like. Like what is what are your hopes and dreams? If you could wave a magic wand and change anything, what would you change about your current Coinbase or Robinhood experience today? I think that the things like the intelligent, actionable insights that live in your back pocket, like you're out at the bar, you're out at dinner, you're out with the family, but you're never, ever going to miss that moment again in which you should have you promised yourself you were going to buy a little more Bitcoin when it hit 100K. And, oh, I missed the opportunity again. And I feel shitty about it. It's just like you're missing those moments that actually matter. Let's fix that. Let's ship that. Let's highlight that. So I think that, my general take is 99% of the teams that love talking about the UX thing over and over are also not, it is what it is. I think it's noise. Let's fix those things. Let's still fix them. We don't need to shout about the rooftop about it, shout from the rooftops about it. Let's just build the next layer that really matters.
Yeah, blaming that as a crutch. It's a crutch by team, unless like some organizations, I'm sure they actually have a UX problem, but most don't at this point. But it's just a crutch so that organizations don't have to focus on something new and scary that they don't have experience in, or have to feel like they have to go hire someone that can help them with distribution. It's a crutch because it's a new scary thing, and well, that scares us. New things are scary.
New things are scary.
Are scary.
I tend to take kind of both sides of the debate. I see all those sides. I do think though, we were on. I think our friend Jeff the Dunker has an app called Odyssey that improves the user experience to make like DeFi level 5 strategies looping accessible to people in a click. abstracting away the manual work of having to like take out the loan, deposit it again, advanced DeFi. But the user interface, if you've never used a DeFi site before and you don't know where to click, you don't know which buttons mean what. I mean, there's like a little arrow button that is supposed to indicate to you, click this if you want to start earning yield on your crypto. And like, how am I supposed to know that if I've never seen that before? There are a lot of things that over time, I even notice myself as somebody who really is concerned about helping folks make the 1, 2, 3 step, taking for granted or forgetting to say or explain and realizing, oh, wait a second, I got to back up a little. What I really like about Polaris, the experience you describe, is that it almost sounds like this kind of like healthy relationship. You've got the news, you've got the stuff you might want to do, and then you might have these helpful updates that could give you some of the education along the way. Like you say, hey, your Dogecoin is up. People who are new to crypto probably aren't hip to the volatility our space experiences. A lot of people hold too long, buy too many tops, sell too many bottoms. And it would just be really nice to have somebody who wasn't buy, sell, but who could just kind of along the journey let me know, here's a piece of information you might be ready for. Intuitive and helpful.
Yeah. I think that I think that there's so many little touch points where it's not even just introducing delight, but you can actually rethink what the experience should be like. That would be helpful for us, right? I think that I've been thinking about it as far as like discovery, right? Ideally, you're not discovering tokens and investments and whatnot on just TikTok and Instagram, whatever else, but they're actually credible enough sources. So I think that the first version of insights we shipped is literally like being authored by the team. So we, like 5-6 things a day, highest signal. What is happening? Is there anything that matters to you in our wonderfully high volatile world that we live in, right? The second component to that is almost like a following page, right? What are the things you currently hold? And the reality is a lot of us hold a lot of random stuff. And hopefully we shift away from that world maybe, but maybe the 4 of us hold some random token from last cycle. And I'm not following anything on Twitter, but we can do the heavy lifting of scraping the world for you and seeing that if you're I don't know, your mantra, I'm going to go ahead and say his mantra like somehow rebounded, right? Because there's leadership and something sold, and you should probably know that happens, so you can maybe exit an old thing that you've been sitting on. So I think that right now we've got 2 feeds: the global thing where it's like the team is curating like a couple things every day that's super high value, and then second to that, the second feed is like we're looking at everything you hold, so we can hit you with only the high impact things if anything arises. But beyond discovery is then making a decision, and I think that we can reinvent the experience of like learning about an asset. If you go to any CoinGecko or Coinbase or any product today, you have this like lifeless page around what is BTC. Here, let me hit you with this SEO like optimized essay around what the project is and a bunch of numbers and stats. Why not actually? I think I've blocked you guys again on StreamYard, by the way. Are we still here?
We are with you.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. The next thing that I hope we ship on both mobile and desktop is, when you land on this page currently sucks. This is exactly what you'd expect it to be. I don't care about a chart. I don't care about like the token description, blah, blah, blah. But why would I not hit you with like a couple sentences generated live around what's happening now, right? We can scrub the web. We can tell you in a nutshell what a project is, what the risks are or might be, all in one take. So even this part of the experience, the decision-making part of the experience, is more human-friendly, right? Like if anyone asked you about Aster right now, you would not read them anything that's in this paragraph. You would probably
but I will say that even this, Hemu, like something that really impressed me when I was like just getting the links together and making sure I could load the website and all that stuff for the show today, because I have followed it mostly through your updates lately. I've been back a couple of times since you showed it to us, but I haven't used it a ton. What I'm really impressed about and what I want to ask you about is how you are deciding what to surface right now, at least while you're in the stage, because I noticed like you've got this, the fact that you had Aster. We had someone in our community the other day who was asking, how do I buy Aster? and they had ETH tokens on the Ethereum mainnet, and they had some other tokens on Binance Smart Chain, I believe. And they didn't understand, first of all, that there were only certain pairs you could trade against Aster on Aster DEX. They didn't know where to go to look it up, how to trade it where. If you go to somewhere like CoinGecko to their markets tab, you can see all these different exchanges that are listed. Many of them are not accessible to every consumer. Most of the places Aster is traded, for example, this person lives in the United States, are like Gate, MEXC, all places that require KYC and aren't going to let a U.S. consumer in unless they, have some kind of special ID. And then Aster DEX, where the liquidity is deepest, because that's the native token, is kind of difficult to use. You can only trade it for USDT Tether. And so she's got to decide, what network do I want to buy it on? How am I going to get USDT there? And if I don't have a wallet that's equipped to do that, a lot of US users don't trade in USDT all the time. It was like a lot of different steps, and she got real discouraged from it. I noticed on your interface here, not only do you have Aster like integrated already in the trade any token experience, I see that when I connect my wallet, it looks like, I've got options for the network I can get it on, or at least to see all the different networks I might be able to trade tokens on. But I don't have to worry about that here. It's just like, hey, what token do you want to trade for it? And here it is. So I'm curious how you are getting this information, how you're making it work a little bit on the back end. Somebody wanted to know, for example, where you're getting the price information from. Also, fun side note for people in the audience, I said to Will this morning before we got on the air, I said, I think I might try to buy Aster ahead of the airdrop this weekend.
Ooh, are we back?
We're back.
Correct.
I might try to buy Aster ahead of the airdrop this weekend because I think the price will go up, and then it'll be a sell, and it's already gone up almost 10% in the time that I said that. So
yeah,
rip.
I was about to say, it just broke out of a technical analysis pattern, but there should be about $600 million of sell side pressure.
Yeah, I'm not interested in buying it ahead of the airdrop anymore. I was interested in buying it before it moved, but now it's moving and I'm just going to wait. But Hemu, how do you get that? How do you get the information, first of all? Where do you pull pricing from? And then how do you make this experience so smooth? I don't know. Like, what's the actual? It seems smooth. How do I get this wallet? How do I deposit my tokens? And when I click trade, it's self custody, quick and simple, just like that.
Yeah, I know we've been really quiet about like the technical aspect because it's it should work without needing a user to jump through all the hoops. So I think that as far as the information goes, one, we did spend the past few months, if not half a year now, actually building up just an engine that is scrubbing. So we have an LLM, we've got an AI model that we've been training for half a year, and that's kind of like the meat of what's generating the insights around. Okay, let's scrub all the. I don't know if I hit you with the script that's following. It's wild. Like we have it looking at only the highest quality news outlets, actually making decisions around what is and is not a quality update, cutting out the noise, not even sharing an update if it's not, if it's not passing like a ton of different criteria, because there's right now your alternative is crypto Twitter, or worse, potentially TikTok, where it's just noise. And every day it generates auto-generates a couple hundred takes of only the highest value things. And then we actually have an incredible human being on our team who literally has spent the past many years running an alpha community, who is helping us add that human layer of actually surfacing the things that he thinks are the highest value things. But 80% of the heavy lifting is done with a model that we've been quietly training up in the background to kind of just do it's almost like having a team of 20 researchers, right? Just like on the team, scrubbing through CoinDesk, the block, other second tier, third tier publishers, crypto Twitter and generating like a summary of all the biggest takeaways around even a specific update. Now we don't have a human doing that, but we have a human kind of just like curating the curated batch every day. So that's at least on the information end, like that's how things are being generated. And the guy's name's Trendy. He's awesome. The mad scientists already have incredible alpha to begin with, so we're lucky we even have him kind of as that human arm of curating our homepage of Polaris every single day.
That's cool.
And then as far as integrations go, I think that's like the biggest part of everything the team has spent its time building, right? We got to start with Osmosis, right? So Osmosis is 4 years and some change in the making. And I actually this is definitely beta, and I don't think anyone from Osmosis is really watching this, but the Polaris experiment is an experiment, and Osmosis is still our home base, and that's all I can say. But we've learned a lot from Osmosis over the years around how to build like a good consumer-facing product. Polaris is a great sandbox for us to really like have a blank slate, go ham, all out. How do we make every single token on every random network and chain, whatever, coexist? How do we build the Switzerland of exchanges, right? Experience. And I think we're going to take all of our learnings, and then there are big things incoming over on the Osmosis end. So Polaris, I will say, has been like a sandbox for figuring out how we get all of the wiring to work behind the scenes. So you don't need USDT on this chain, and you have to use 3 different products, and you have to know what bridges to trust in. All of that should work behind the scenes. If you guys are curious, like maybe, I don't know if anyone in the audience is technical, but if you do fire up a trade, you can dig into the details and see what's happening. But oftentimes it'll swap to like a stable and then bridge with several different bridges that have been vetted by the team to swap to a stable on whatever network you're actually trying to go to, and then swap to the token. So like you can tell your friend who wants to buy whatever asset to do that today, and you're gonna hold their hand for a half hour while they jump through the hoops, and it's gonna be terrifying. And you might not even know to what degree
right.
the product is legitimate. And maybe they're every time you use another DEX or product, you're like, oh my God, it's a whole new experience. I have to learn how to use, and there are buttons placed here and there, or is a terrible UX maybe, right? We can just do all that for you. We can do all of that for you. And that is how it's work. We're gonna build if we really want people to be on chain, right? We should make it easy for them.
Yeah, you said something a second ago. I'd like to hear you dig deeper on about TikTok and Twitter and being noisy. We have a lot of folks who tune in on Twitter. Hey, everybody. A lot of folks who tune in on TikTok. Hey, everybody. And they might be wondering, like, I love this. This is my crypto place. This is where I go to learn about crypto. What makes you say it's noisy? What do you mean by that? And, can you dig deeper? Yeah.
I think that crypto and finance in general is of all subjects, a subject that comes with a lot of emotion and a lot of bad actors. And sometimes not even bad actors, just people who are excited. We're humans, right? Like and our financial health is literally part of our well-being. So if your neighbor next door made $1 million in Bitcoin, or buying some, let's hit you with a bad example. Your neighbor next door made $1 million buying Aster because they got in at minute 1. They're going to be emotionally driven by it, excited by it. I'm going to tell you about it. And I mean, there's a reason, there's probably a good reason that we're not supposed to give financial advice, right? I think that you can ruin someone's life with bad financial advice. And it's, if we're talking about each of these mediums, they all come with the territory of being misled, things being noisy. Everyone wants to tell you change your life or what they're excited about. And crypto's incredibly volatile, just in general. Crypto Twitter specifically is also filled with unfortunately, and this is a tough thing to dig into because it's not even scams, right? Which is a sad thing to even have to acknowledge in crypto. But you can even say that the majority of legitimate projects, founders, people, tokens are driven by unsustainable and oftentimes scammy behavior, right? So there's so many tricks that you can have up your sleeve as a project founder. If you were building something and you launch a token and you're chasing a narrative today, you're chasing a new narrative tomorrow, and another one the next week, right? Your marketing team has incredible chops or a really big budget. There's so many things that are happening that even the four of us might be duped by at some point, right? Just because of a project or an asset or a token is on a surface level exciting. So I think that it's worth saying that to everyone that's tuning in, be vigilant. There's a reason that, and while the four of us can't give financial advice, there's a reason that if anyone asks me about crypto, the only thing I tell anyone to buy at this point is Bitcoin. I think generally that is like the easiest thing to tell someone who doesn't know anything about anything. Even if you do, even if you are highly tuned, if you're excited to hop into the crypto journey, the reality is, unless you're tuning in almost 24 hours a day, every day of the week, into the level that you might be, you're like so in tune with how things are moving and why, you're gonna make mistakes still, right? Like crypto is incredibly volatile, just in general, by nature of it being a fun new asset class. Maybe I don't know. I think we're trending towards a direction in which things are becoming less exciting, but there's a reason that it's good investing is also supposed to not be exciting. So because crypto still is somewhat exciting, I think that's something to be very mindful of, at least as of October 2025. Things could change in the next 3 to 5, 10 years, but
it's like we say, it's the transition from it, eventually moving from what it is now, which is exclusively venture investing, which is thrilling and exciting and risky and volatile and sketchy as hell, into investing, which is, I think, where Bitcoin wants to head, and potentially, a few others following suit over the next couple of years.
It's going to be really weird when crypto has portions of its market that is boring and acts like stocks and gold and stuff, and you're like, man, it's gone up 50%. Oh wait, I'm looking at the monthly chart. Oh wait, it took a year to go up 50%. Oh man, that's so not exciting. Except you've been buying Bitcoin for such a long time that 50% move is, a gigantic multiple for you based on when you first bought in. So hopefully, remember, I don't say this enough. I don't think any of us say this enough. Everybody, make sure you're buying a little bit of Bitcoin. We talk about altcoins a lot. Buy just a little bit. Make sure a certain amount of your portfolio is Bitcoin, because there are a lot of times where the market goes up, but it's really just Bitcoin going up and altcoins keep bleeding, and those times will come again. We're not there right now, but those times will come again. It's good to have some Bitcoin in your portfolio, everyone. In fact, I would say it's best to have Bitcoin be the biggest part of your portfolio. But anyway, we don't say that enough. So
a big spoiler alert for the number one thing I say to people when I have like a deeper conversation, when I sit down with somebody one-on-one who really wants to learn about crypto, or who is already in crypto and wants to go like deeper, and I say, okay, so you're investing, what tokens do you hold? And they'll be like, well, I've got AVAX and I've got XRP and I've got Chainlink and I've got, whatever. And I'll say, do you have a Bitcoin buying strategy? That's the very first thing I say. And they say almost always one of two things. They say, well, no, it seems like it's too expensive, or I don't expect it to go up in value at the same rate these other tokens are. And we have to have a conversation about like what seems likely. That's totally valid to think. You're in this crypto casino where everything is moving all the time. The lights are flashing, the sirens are going off. But here's like the data we have, what we can measure, what we can verify, what enforces this price mechanism. And we have a conversation about like the risk to reward, the likely to possible like scale, every single person. That's the place. Like, and I'm shocked always at how many people don't have a Bitcoin buying strategy. Shocked.
Yeah, it's definitely that, oh, it's so expensive. And like, oh, it'll only make me 30%. Honey,
I think,
baby, sweetheart.
I mean,
That's
this
pretty
is
fucking awesome. And also that 30% could be a year. You have just more than tripled the return of an S&P 500 stock, like stock fund. It just that is the comparison, Alex.
but that's the thing though, right? That if this is where you started, if your first introduction to investing in general was venture style shotgun strategy investing in a whole myriad of like snake oil shilled tech startup companies, and then someone presents to you like a sensible investment strategy and approach to something that you would DCA into, like the S&P 500 index or something, then those are, I mean, that's apples and kumquats being paired, right? It's completely different. It would never even enter the same conversation, and you've never been built up that way in any way, shape, or form the entire time. There was never any like sensible investment strategy beforehand with a differentiation drawn between venture or long-term or conservative, or different strategies or different approaches or different amounts or different ways to build a budget. How have we even been trained in building budgets and what makes sense? And does anyone know, like off the top of your head, what percentage of your net income should your housing expenses be? Like, what's a good ratio? Food, entertainment, like all this kind of stuff. If you can't write it all down and pick a percentage for each thing, like for example, housing should not take up more than a third of your net monthly income, and then everything else comes after that, kind of thing, right? So I think it's just indicative of like being welcomed into a whole new space of finance and technology and whatever, having it be misrepresented to you grossly. Nothing necessarily wrong with starting with venture. I mean, venture is thrilling and exciting, and there's a lot of really cool stuff, and you get to be super early, and the potential upside is crazy, but the potential downside that exists there doesn't get its props and kudos as well, just because that danger is 1,000 times more evident or applicable here than it is in anything else.
Here's the last thing I'll say on this topic, and there's a great comment here. Be like, yeah, I thought Bitcoin's too expensive at 40K also. Look where we are now. That's the thing. That's the thing. Bitcoin will always, I guess you can't say always, but Bitcoin is far more likely than any other cryptocurrency for you to one day be like, oh, that's too expensive. And then 2 or 3 years go down the line and go, oh, it wasn't that expensive after all. That has happened, I feel like, to every single person. It's happened to me. I feel like it's happened to everybody. They go, Bitcoin just seems so expensive. It's at $6,000 right now, which is a real thing I said to myself at one point in time. Yeah. And now
I literally said it at 3. I said it at 3.
Me too, man.
Like, I can't afford that.
Can't afford that.
I think there's a really productive take that I hope that all of us have here, but then everyone in the audience has a chance to embrace today, which is I was talking with one of the founders of the team, and he was like, what does the world look like? What do you think the world looks like when Bitcoin's $1 million? What products exist? What does your life look like? What does our financial well-being look like? If we believe that Bitcoin will be $1 million one day, and we have that thesis, that should kind of be a guiding principle for things. And I personally believe that we're headed in that direction, right? So whether it's 5-10 years from now, if there isn't some unforeseen event in the world or technical thing that challenge ahead, if Bitcoin's worth $1 million, how do you feel today? And I think that for anything we invest in, even a shady venture style asset, I think the most important thing is to like pause, whip out your journal, think, literally go on a walk and think about why you have conviction around something. And if you think that Bitcoin's gonna be $1 million today, then ideally today we can pause on October 2025 and really think about how we would actually invest and how we actually feel about where our money is going right now. Otherwise, we're always gonna feel like it's too expensive, or we're gonna feel really shitty because it's plummeted, and we're gonna ride the lovely roller coaster of emotions week over week as any investment fluctuates, whether it's even real estate, right? Like anything. Crypto obviously is the most volatile, but I think Bitcoin's going to $1 million. How do I think about the next few years of my life and the future with that in mind?
Yeah.
As we were talking about this, I just went on Coinbase and I doubled the size of my daily buy of Bitcoin. I was like, we're spitting fire right now. This needs to be double.
I increase my dollar cost average every time I'm able to. Every time I cut something from my life. Recently
Smart.
I made another significant attempt at like quitting smoking, which I'm pleased to report is going exceedingly well. And one of the
thinking
incentives
about you yesterday on that. I meant to text you, so I'm glad
Thank
to
you.
hear that.
Thank you. One of the incentives I have for myself is every day I go without smoking, I buy a pack of cigarettes worth of Bitcoin. And that's honestly a great incentive for me. Like I am turning this, I just got the Coinbase credit card because I'm already a Coinbase One user and I'm looking for every possible way to turn the dollars I accumulate into an asset that will gain value over time instead of lose value over time. In Bitcoin, it's the most deeply liquid. It's the easiest for me to like buy into and out of, to move. Could you imagine trying to move $1 million of gold? No.
Yeah.
No. So all that to say, don't borrow our conviction, but spend the time if you're here in crypto because you want to invest, to read and ask and learn from other people who share that conviction. Why? Now, we do have to ride our dogs and ponies into the sunset here a little earlier than usual because today we are going to circle where our community lives 24/7 to do the after show. If you're not there already, I want to invite you to join at community.rumshq.com. Totally free, takes you just a couple of seconds. It's safer than Discord, and it is a great place to connect with other crypto users, to have conversations like this, even when we're not around. But before we do, and before we get final thoughts, I want to ask you this question, Hemu, which is maybe a trap. I don't want you to fall into this trap, and I don't think you will. Do you mind sharing any other crypto tokens, any altcoins that you invest in? Not so that people can borrow conviction from you or take it as a buy signal, but specifically, I'd like you to tell us maybe one, if you have accumulated it for a while, or one that you've traded in and out of, or one that you've added recently, and walk us through the process of like how you made that decision. You probably didn't just watch a TikTok one day. You probably, even if it was a quick decision, I want to hear from somebody who works here and somebody I think folks should model their thinking after. How and why, if you feel comfortable sharing.
Sure. Okay. I'll answer this in a way that hopefully is not a trap. So hopefully the takeaway, if there are takeaways from people in the audience, it is just the thought process around like how I even came to the conclusion to invest in certain things.
Yeah.
I'll hit you with two, and they're going to sound
Perfect.
incredibly boring. They're going to sound incredibly boring.
Oh no.
I'll start with the most boring one, which is Ethereum. I will hit you with a mistake that I made first before we dive into the more fun aspect of investing in Ethereum.
Okay.
I sold a large chunk of my Bitcoin because I was feeling emotional about, a cycle, like, not a cycle top, but I was feeling emotional about the month-to-month ebbs and flows, which I never should have done. And I sold a lot of Bitcoin into Ethereum, thinking that I was incredibly bullish about the thesis I had around Ethereum, which is institutional adoption, right? So the big mistake I made was selling a large chunk of Bitcoin for Ethereum some point last year. And then the two completely diverged on as far as their paths go. Why does that not matter to the biggest degree? We are here now today. I think that institutional investments are what I'm very excited for, and has already the institutional interest has already started happening. And big companies work in a way where it's very different than you and I investing, where we're gonna see what's taken off, follow trends, hop onto whatever ecosystem or network is gonna 10x our investment. What our thesis is totally different. Institutions and businesses tend to get information from one another. They're way more conservative. They follow what's safe. They'll use the tools and products and ecosystems that have been proven out by a competitor or an adjacent company. And there was a lot of institutional interest in Ethereum. And I think that there are also a lot of cons, right? I don't think the leadership being incredibly technical in the way that they are is a sustainable path. So I think that to some extent, I still feel a lot of excitement around institutional interest in Ethereum. And I think that $4 trillion today in crypto is peanuts compared to what it would be and will be if more businesses and the rest of the world starts adopting it. And it'll be massive, once institutional capital is in crypto, not just you and I investing $100, but a company worth hundreds of millions of dollars bringing their assets on chain. So even if Ethereum doesn't end up being the home base for all institutional capital, I think that it will definitely still has, my hypothesis, my thesis is that it'll still benefit largely based off of the institutional players here today. So I'll hit you with that. The other one I think is more fun for my reasoning, less fun because Solana is not exciting to everyone, right? Solana. I'm not hitting you with a crazy altcoin you've never heard of. I had the pleasure of one of our advisors. We were very lucky to have it was the VP of Solana, right? So VP of Solana was someone I'd get to catch up with every week, twice a week, and she's brilliant, just like shedding light on the things that they're doing. I was hoping they would have done way more during the meme coin hype, knowing that that wasn't as sustainable to ride all of their developments into whatever's next. And I think they are working on a lot of things that are hopefully setting the right foundation. But as far as building my thesis goes, I was lucky to have visibility into their leadership and how they were executing and how they were incredibly just like vigilant about their roadmap when Solana had plummeted back down to $15, $20, $30, $40. And that is when I was investing in Solana, rotating, I should say, out of things that I didn't care as much about or was losing conviction in into Solana. And today we're at 200 and some change, right?
Yeah.
My thesis is still a thesis, and that means that how I felt about leadership and direction back at $20 has now 10x to where we currently are. That doesn't mean I'm expecting Solana to continue going to $500 or $1,000, right? That's important to keep in mind for everyone's context is I expected things to absolutely rebound because it's a robust community with great leadership and a good ecosystem. Do I expect things to go further? My thesis is very different from the one you might be formulating today. So I want to make sure anyone who's like, oh, maybe I should go invest in Solana, think about where they're going from here, I was thinking from point A to point B, what does point B to point C look like? So I think that if you're investing right now, you should be thinking about that as well. But my boring assets with hopefully interesting context.
The word I want to highlight that you keep using is investing, and not trading, right? These are very different terms with very different time frames. Trading could be a day, trading could be a week, a month, or even swing trading is multiple months. Investing is a multi-year long strategy. And it is hard for people to think about how things could look in several years. It's hard for some people to think about what's going to happen next quarter, 3 months from now. And so that point A to point B is what a trader thinks. That point A to point B to point C to D to E to F to G, like that is the investor mentality. So I just enjoy that you use that word, but I want to make sure that people understand that there is a significant difference between the word investing and investor and trading and trader.
Yeah, and for people who are saying wait, or maybe you just got here and you need to hear that again, I do want to remind you, this show is not only live, it's recorded. And Hemu is not only appearing on the Rise Up Morning Show, but he lives online too. You can find Hemu at shaping_elements on X. And is that the handle on TikTok too? What's the handle on TikTok, brother?
It's just shaping elements _ on
Yeah.
X. But then on TikTok, it is Hemu_Rahman. So you can, I imagine if you're on TikTok right now, you can just click over and find me.
Yeah, and you could search his name, or you can find one of us, and we will help you get in touch with him. Because like us, Hemu's got lots of impersonators online that'll try to sell you weird investments, and he ain't gonna do it.
Yeah, I will never DM anybody first, at least. So unfortunately, all 4 of us and many others have a bajillion scam accounts that are impersonators.
Yeah, no
maybe one
legitimate
day.
creator ever will message you first. It's always worth saying again, if you're talking to someone who looks like me or Alex or Coach JV or whatever crypto teacher you follow, it almost certainly is not them. And it's especially not them if they're telling you, hey, come to this website, I'm going to invest for you. That is trouble. On the double, get out of there. Will, what's got you cracking up?
I'm friends with 13 Wills.
Sounds like a personal problem. Okay, we are at that place where we've got to do some final thoughts. We've got to ride our dogs and ponies into the sunset. I can't believe we're closing out another great week of shows, but here we are. So before we do, give us your last question, your suggestions, your predictions, what you're investing in, and we'll do a round of final thoughts from the panel. Alex, I want to come to you first because I see that you promised to tell a story about your favorite boat name.
Yes, someone, I think Steckler in the comments was talking about naming a boat something.
And it's not Bodie McBoatface?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
So, background: when you are off at sea, you're hailing a boat on the radio. There's radio etiquette, right? And every radio conversation follows a standard pattern so that it's uniform and makes sense, whatever. So if you're hailing a boat, you call them by vessel and then their name. And you would start every radio call to them by saying, vessel, whatever, name, switch channel, yada, yada, whatever, blah, 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 whatever you're trying to say to them. And sometimes people get a little creative with what they name the boat so that you're forced to say funny things on the air. And we spent a long time going back and forth in a conversation with a boat called Of Darkness. And you just had to call it. So every radio call was Vessel of Darkness, whatever message. Then you sign off with, U.S. Coast Guard ship, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And it was awesome. It was just it was literally just like some guy and his kid out fishing in this like little boat called Of Darkness, and it was it was awesome.
Nice, love that.
Not a day goes by I don't think about that guy. I wonder where he's at. They were like out in the middle of the Caribbean somewhere, just tootling around, doing their thing.
Will, what about you?
Oh, it just reminds me of some of the beautiful gamer tags where it's like you were killed by, and it's like your mom, or like something horrible.
A potato.
Yeah, you were killed by a potato, and then you're playing Halo, and you're like, ha! You look in the bottom left, and you see the kill feed, and you're like, ha! I was killed by a potato, and then I was killed by.
That's like one of our listeners has the name "It's Me, Your Dad," and every time I say "It's me, your dad," and I always say, "Hey, Dad." I just love that. Will, do you have a final thought for us?
I don't know. I just kind of want to echo. I'm going to steal Evan's thought as my final thought, which is just the idea of finding ways to cut some costs. Hey, like go take a look at your credit card statements, see what subscriptions you're being hit with that you're not using, cancel those, figure out how much money a month you have extra. And hey, guess what? You got some money for Bitcoin every single month now without changing your expenses. So it's just a real easy way. Find ways to cut some costs in your life. And hey, you can use that to buy whatever you want. Or you can use that to take the dollars you were just setting on fire for something you weren't using and using that to actually have it grow. And it might not seem like a lot of money, but over time, if you're buying it with Bitcoin, and I think Ethereum is and Solana are in the category of potential long-term plays. Maybe ETH a little bit more than Solana still. You're gonna have a lot of money one day. Compounding interest is a hell of a thing. So that's what I'll say. Just find that spare change in your couch and have a 10-year, 20-year time frame if you can, and you'll be surprised how big that piggy bank will be.
Beautiful.
Evan, I was going to say, for everyone who was asking about Replit in the beginning, I definitely want to do some more like deliberate vibe Cody type talk, just because it's been a really thrilling experience and it's a ton of fun. And I think everybody should at least experiment with it and kind of start to figure out how these things work. We can go back and forth. I'll put a ton of stuff in the dev hub over in the circle, including links. I'm going to redeploy the base camp today. So there's a bunch of stuff that needs to get fixed and added and tweaked and whatever. And then it would be super helpful if anyone feels like doing me a solid just to click through there and tell me what sucks and what's broken and what you wish was different and better. Exactly like Hemu was saying. And the other person, who this makes me think of is our new friend Andrew over at Awaken. He told me that his favorite thing ever is just like spending hours reading his DMs, which are largely from users talking to him about what they wish was different and changed. And that's where they get all their updates. That's where everything comes from. It's just being pulled straight from community feedback, which is the way. And the shout outs are just like continuing to come. Remix posted something yesterday about their growth, and I'm like, hey, look, Mom, it's a product that people really enjoy. Go figure, it's doing well. And then Sam Stefanina over on Twitter just posted that and Will, you retweeted it.
I did.
His post about Pudgy Party's rankings and the earnings and all this kind of stuff. And it's just like, yeah, go figure. A brand that people like made a product that people enjoy, and it's doing really well. Like, what a novel concept.
But Alex, I don't understand.
I know. It's early, but man.
I love Chuck's response to your tweet that says, Moms love remix.
They do. Oh, I had a final thought that was supposed to be my final thought, and I was like, there was something else I wanted to say. So super quickly, I knew not to buy today, except for my daily cost average, because I felt like this emotional pull. I was like, I need to deploy the rest of my capital now. And I was like, no, this is the opposite. And I had Coinbase, and I just like closed the Coinbase window because I was like, nope, not even going to tempt myself. Because if your emotions are telling you to do something in a financial market, odds are it is a mistake. And do not listen to your heart, listen to your brain. Turn that off, walk away from your computer, make some tea, and go to bed. Yeah.
We definitely need to rename Final Thoughts has become a segment that's absolutely not anybody's final thought. It's just it's the last act of the show wherein all of us have 6 or 7 random things that then need to get said. And
1,000%.
I feel bad for the people who are like, oh, they're closing down the show and they tune out.
Leave.
Like,
and there's 20 minutes left.
See, that's it though, because everyone else who hangs out knows that when Evan says it's time for final thoughts, there's about 20 minutes of the show left. It's probably going to be all the shit we forgot to talk about during the first 80% of the episode. So sorry.
If you do want to hear, I will say too, as Alex is working on Replit, if you're not read into that because we didn't really give it much of an intro, last night's episode of After Dark was wild.
It was so good
and wonderful, and it took a couple years off my life, but it was great. And we talked a lot
because I feel great.
We talked a lot about Basecamp, Alex's tax app, and so much more than a tax app. And he talked about how he uses Replit to build without knowing anything really about how to code, and how you can too. So go watch that episode and try not to judge us too harshly. And, then you'll have more questions and more context for when that workshop comes. Hemu, as our honored and esteemed guest, would you like to give the folks a final thought? Do you have a last minute ask for them, or is there anything else we can do to support you right now, my friend?
But as someone who is a regular friend of the show, I am going to rug you because it's something that I only do to my friends. Just to say that I love Machinery's comment. This is like the cheater scene after the credits at the end of the movie that you got to know to sit around for and watch. Yeah. We're basically Marvel. Is what
yeah, that's it. We're as big as Marvel.
Yeah, this is
Disney.
Off-brand maybe.
This is off-brand Temu Marvel.
DC over here. What do you got, Hemu?
Let's see. I've got I've got a final thought that actually has nothing to do with crypto.
Love it.
But I figured I'll pitch it. I'm gonna shill it while I'm hanging out on the show with you guys. I'm starting a new project.
Yes, I meant to ask you about this. I think I've seen you
tease
it.
New project. I think it's I'm expanding the mission. I've spent the past, I guess maybe it's almost been a year that I've been hanging out on TikTok making matcha. I haven't made matcha in a while, but trying to make crypto more accessible. And I think it's been really like fruitful, right? It's been really fulfilling making crypto more accessible. But just for a little bit of context, before I was working on Osmosis and Polaris, I started a company called Brain Food, which was a mission to make just knowledge in general more accessible, right? Like understanding even what crypto was or how to navigate your financial well-being responsibly, like all sorts of subjects. Definitely more of a vitamin versus painkiller situation as far as like building a company goes. So 2.5 years in, I think it was tough to like let go of the team. We had a bunch of illustrators, animators, content writers, researchers. It was such a blast. And a chance to make crypto more accessible. So that's what we've been doing. But I'm going to start expanding that. I am going to take this next month as a new dad to also think about things and reflect on things. But I'm on a mission to reinvent the news. So I posted a video a few days ago about the intention to do so. And I think it's, I may have lost you guys on StreamYard.
We're with you, brother.
No, we're with you.
We're still here?
Yeah, still here.
Yep.
I tanked in the middle, I lost you guys in the middle of the pitch.
No, Hemu,
No,
if you
no,
can hear
no.
us, we are so with you. You are so back.
safe.
You never went anywhere. So you want to reinvent the news.
I'm on a mission to reinvent the news. It's going to be the biggest undertaking yet as far as building a product goes. I think building is easy. I think to Alex's point, if you haven't played with vibe coding yet, go do it. You can building products is no longer the challenge. I think distribution will still be the big challenge. But why I think that it's crazy that we live in 2025, we live in a world in which we don't have access to unfiltered, unsuppressed news on all fronts, right? Like your legacy news outlets from New York Times to CNN to BBC to whatever you're watching the news on, all have a lot of external agendas and are heavily suppressing or choosing what to or not to show, and usually have external owners, as we're all aware. And okay, we also just blindly trust. I think that's an interesting thing, is we have blind trust for legacy news outlets, right? And then we have social media. We have TikTok, we have Instagram, where a lot of us get our news today. And we also are intelligent as humans, and we know that our TikTok and Instagram feeds are also heavily filtered. Your Google search results are filtered. I had the pleasure of chatting with someone who's been working with Google for like a decade, who their job is literally to sit with the executive team and make split-second decisions on what things to remove from your Google results as the White House, national security, or third parties they work with see fit in the moment. So some of the stuff that was shared with me just made made me really, I don't know, I just like felt so motivated and uncomfortable with the state of the world that we're in, where it's 2025 and we don't have access to the facts. So I think making crypto more accessible is something I'll continue to do. But I think adding a layer of critical thinking, like the receipts, the research, making an experience that makes the news more accessible, that isn't tied to social media or legacy news outlets, is going to be the next part of this journey. So I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a massive undertaking. I think that building is easy, but I think that, hey, if we have a chance to unite people from different backgrounds on both sides of the aisle around information, not misinformation, make things accessible on that front, we can build a better world. I think we can build the change that we want to see in the world. And I think that this is one of the biggest changes that I would really like to see happen, and I think needs to exist. So crypto will continue, trying to figure out how the two coexist. I know a lot of the followers here today are here for the crypto and for the matcha that maybe I should make at some point soon. But like the mission can totally expand. I think it's time to expand it. So yeah, that's my very long-winded closing thought that has nothing to do with crypto.
So I think they are intertwined. I think that crypto is a great niche to like build that mission off of, because as a new industry that touches politics and technology and finance and macro, global economics and all this other stuff, they all kind of coalesce in and around like what is relevant in the crypto sphere. It feels particularly topical, and I absolutely volunteer as tribute to consult with that. I think I would love to help. So say the word.
Are we allowed to share the URL?
Please. I had my most viral video a couple of days ago introducing interval.news. So we're at 2,000 signups already, which is awesome. Definitely has me feeling pretty excited. I think I had like 400 people reach out to join as potentially just, I'm looking for independent journalists. I think my next biggest step is like, can I build an initial team with some independent journalists that want to contribute to help actually do the heavy lifting, to do the research, to surface the things that you won't even find on Google because they're being removed from your results. I think that we can rethink the experience, right? I think that many of you might be familiar with ground news, and they're definitely headed in the right direction with the mission, but it's incredibly scholarly. It's very academic. I think we can take a lot of the user experience that I live and breathe, that we've hopefully done with Polaris and any other product I've contributed to, and just rethink the experience of the news. So we can hit you with the facts, we can hit you with the proof and the receipts, but we can also hit you with the summaries in a way that's, if you are brain rotten on TikTok, hopefully in the same 30 seconds, you can also figure out what's happening in the world. So lots of fun experiments ahead.
Yeah, that's killer. And I think it needs crypto. It needs verifiability. It needs encryption to protect our privacy, to help us share these things more quickly, to motivate us to do it. I think there are so many places for crossover. And if I do say so, your eye, your aesthetic, your brand is all over this thing. For people, who are wondering, my final thought is going to be, I had the distinct pleasure of being in New York for Permissionless, and Hemu was there. He was doing some work with the team and made time to meet me for coffee. And the aesthetic is not a ploy. We met at a place called Manjul, which I just have to share it on the screen because, of course, we met at a coffee shop that look at this. Look at this. The beautiful calm colors, the neutral palette, the timeless sort of design elements, the wood, the slate, the stone. I was like, yeah, this is the place where I would get to meet Hemu. And you got an eye, you've got a heart for people, and I really enjoyed it because getting to sit down with you was refreshing, man. It was delightful, and it's been way too long since we've gotten to talk. So thank you for making time, even amidst your busy schedule, to come and hang out with us on the show today.
Yeah, we'll make. I said this last time, but we hopefully will make this happen way more often.
Yes.
I'm gonna be off of technically, by some definition, off of work for a month. I'm sure I'll be exhausted juggling a baby, but maybe we can catch up way sooner rather than later.
We would love that. And we would love if you, wherever you are, whenever you listen, would join us. Thank you, my friends, for being the very best part of what we do. Until next time, and by next time, I mean starting the Circle After Show here in a couple of minutes, stay safe. Everybody be well, my friends. Rise up.